Prep students, this is Dr. Smith. I'm here to talk to you today about math. We're going to do some practice problems for math. It's fourth grade. So let's go ahead and get started. Make sure that you have your list of strategies for taking your test, and we'll get going. So let's start with question 1. If you would, read it. And if you want to solve it, you can. Just make sure you pause the video. Now, we're going to reread it together. The body and head of a fox measures 19 4/5 inches, and its tail measures 10 4/5 inches. What is the total length of the fox? So, I'm going to go ahead and underline key words and anything else that I want to underline. This is the tail. Up there was that's the body and the head. And they want to know the total length of the fox. So we have to figure out the total length. You have to make sure you understand the question. So what does that mean as far as what you're going to do in order to solve the problem? We're going to use addition. And so we're going to add the body and the head measurement with the tail measurement, and that should give us the length. Okay? So I'm going to go over here on the side and work this problem. We draw a little box, or kind of big box actually. And I'm going to put 19 4/5 plus 10 4/5. So hopefully you've done your practice and you remember how to add fractions together. So I'll go ahead and start with the whole numbers just because that seems to be a little bit quicker. 9 plus 0 is 9, and 1 plus 1 is 2. And over here on the side, both have the same denominator, so we're going to bring that down, 5. And we're going to add the numerators, which are the top numbers. 4 plus 4 is 8. Now you can see that we need to change this improper fraction into a proper fraction. So what we're going to have to do is take 5 from this. So 8 minus 5 equals 3. So we're going to make that 3/5. We took 5 away because 5 over 5 is 1. So all we have to do is bring the 1 that we took away over here. And we know that 9 plus 1 is 0. Add 1 is 3. And then bring the fraction that was left down. Let's see if that's over here. A is 30 8/10. That's not it. B is 30 3/5. That's what we came up with, but we're going to read all of the answers just in case we might have possibly made a mistake. We have 29 8/10. We know that's not it because even before we did, made this into a proper fraction, a mixed fraction with a proper fraction, that still would have been incorrect. So, and this one is 29 3/5, and we know that's not right because our fraction that we came up with here was 8/5. So we can go ahead and mark those 2 off, and our answer will be B. All right, let's move on to question number 2. If you did not already read it, go ahead and pause your screen and read it. And if you want to try solving it without my help or us doing it together first, do that. All right, and let's now read it together. What fraction is shaded in each of these models? So I'm going to just go ahead and circle shaded to remind me that we are looking at the shaded part. And so I think what I'm going to do, this is how I would approach it, is I would come up with my answer first as far as knowing what the shaded parts are here. So let's see what they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the shaded part is 8 over 12. And let's go to this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 6 is shaded. And so how we have to figure out what fraction is shaded. Okay? I'm guessing that they're supposed to be the same. We shall see. Because when we look down here, I don't see 8/12 anywhere. 2 over 3, 3 over 4, 2 over 6, and 4 over 8. I don't see a 4 over 6 anywhere either. Okay, so we're going to have to figure out another way to come to an answer. So let's first, what I would do would do an equivalent fraction, reduce it. So how we do that, 8 over 12. On this side, I'm going to put the factors. And 2 times 4. And down here, I'm going to put the factors. And we're going to see what factors are the same. So we have 2 to choose from. Now when you're reducing, you usually go with the biggest number because that'll probably give you the smallest fraction as far as numbers. So if we were to use 4 as the factor, 8 divided by 4 is 2. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. Now let's just look at our answers and see if that's even up there. And A is actually 2/3, so we can get a little happy, just a little bit, but not too happy. Let's go ahead and see if we can reduce 4/6, okay? The factors for this one is and 6 times 1, 2 times 3. And let's see if we have any factors that are the same. We have 2's that are the same. So we're going to use 2. So if we were to divide 4 by 2, you would have a 2. And if 6 is divided by 2, you would have a 3. Oh, wow, both of them came up the same. So this is kind of easy now. We would go with 2/3 just because both of them are the same, okay? I hope that's what you got. Here's your next set of questions. So if you would, go ahead and pause your screen and read over the questions. And if you'd like to answer them first or have an attempt at answering them, you can do that. Now, let's read it together. I will circle as we go along. A group of friends were each completing a project of the same size. The table shows, this table here, shows how much of the project each friend has completed. So, to understand what they're saying so far is that all of them have the same project. Nobody's project is bigger or smaller than anybody else's. And how much that they've completed so far is in this table. Michael's completed 2/3, James 1/2, Leilani 6/8, and Somi 4/6. Now that we understand that, now we have to read and make sure we understand what it is they want us to solve. Which friends have completed an equal amount of their project? So what are you actually going to solve? You're going to find out who has equal amounts of the project completed. So you're looking for equivalent fractions. Now, you can come up with your answer first. And if this is me taking this test, I think at this point, because they have two names, so you have to have more than one person's information involved, I would first look at the answers and just kind of see which names are kind of going together pretty much. The other thing is, when I look at this chart, I'm going to see which one is the easiest fraction, and I'm going to start at 1/2. So we're going to look and see in the answers if there's anybody that's with James. And there is somebody with James and Sumi. Now, we know what 1/2 is. We can compare Sumi's fraction to 1/2. It's 4/6, 1/2. Half of 6 is 3. So these two are not equivalent, so we can go ahead and mark it off. You can save yourself some work that way, okay? And now James' name is over here too with Leilani. So we're going to see if Leilani is at 1/2. So we see that the denominator is 8. Half of 8 is 4. This is not 4. So we know that James and Leilani did not complete equal amounts. So let's go ahead and mark it off. Now, this is a little bit easier to do because you have Michael in both of the answers that are left. So you can look at Michael's and see what his fraction is. It's 2/3. So we have to find the person that has the fraction that is 2/3. So Sumi is the first one. So we're going to see 4/6. I'm going to come over here and draw a box so that we won't confuse things. Sumi has 4/6 of his project done. Let's do the get the equivalent fraction by reducing it. We got to put all of the factors up here. So 2 is the one that they have in common. So if we did 2 divided by 4 and 2 divided by 6, make that a big 6, like that. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So who was that? That was Sumi, because that was the first one. Now that's actually equivalent to Michael. So we could go ahead and circle Michael. But if you want to just make sure that Leilani is not a possible answer, you can. That one's 6/8. If it was me, I might do that. It depends on how good I am at math and if I just want to be extra careful and make sure I don't make a mistake. I'm putting the factors here. And we're going to go with, and so. Six divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. And so we're certain that that is not the right answer. And so our right answer would be A, Michael and Sumi. So you can always look back at your answer. We looked at every possible answer there was, so we did all that from our list. And you just make sure which friends have completed equal amounts of their project, just to make sure you answer in the right question. And we did Michael and Sumi, because Sumi's fraction reduces to 2/3. Now let's move on to question 4. If you haven't read through it or tried solving it, go ahead and pause your screen and do that. Now let us read it together. Patrick made 12 cookies. Patrick's sister will eat 4. So I'm going to do sister and 4. Which fraction of the cookies will be left? And this could be tricky, so make sure you know you answer the right thing. They want to know what's left, okay? So one way that you can solve this, if you like, you'd rather have objects instead of numbers, this problem is small enough that you could actually do that if you wanted to do 12 cookies. You could do that. Just be careful of that because as the numbers get bigger, it's harder to do that. You can do it that way. Or if you wanted to, if you knew that Patrick's sister ate 4 cookies, you could say that she ate 4 out of the 12. You can put sister over it. Okay? Now, you know that that you started with 12 cookies. You have 12 of your 12 cookies. So you're going to take the amount away that his sister ate. Here we go. So out of the 12, you had 12 cookies, you took away 4. Now you have 8 left. Okay, so you say, yes, I completed it, I answered it. Now let's look over here at your answers and see if we can find that answer. We have A, 1/4, B, 1/3, C, 2/3, and D, 3/4. There is no 8/12. So what are we going to do? We are going to reduce that fraction. So find your factors. And we always go with the highest fraction, the highest factor if we can, so we can get the smallest numbers. Okay? Okay, we do have the 4 in common with both of them and the 2. So like I said, I'm going to choose the largest number, largest factor. So we're going to do this. 4, we're going to divide it by that 8, and then we're going to do 4 down here and divide it by the 12. And what we come up with, 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then 12 divided by 4 is 3. Okay? So let's see if we can solve this using that number, because that's what's left. No. B? No. We're looking for 2/3. There's 2/3. And we can mark out 3/4. Our correct answer is C, 2/3. I hope that you got that, or if you made an error, that you find your error and make sure that you are very careful when you do your work. Okay, now we're going to do the last 2 problems. If you would, go ahead and read the problems. If you'd like to go ahead and start working them, that'll be great. Just pause your screen. Now let's read together. Which 2 of these squares, I'm going to circle 2, have the same amount shaded? Same and the shaded amount. So now that we understand what they want us to do, we've got to find 2 of these squares that have the same shaded area, the same amount of shaded area. So the first thing that I'm going to do, and you might want to do, is to put the fraction of the shaded area by the square. This one is 2/4. The next one is 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 eighths. The next one is 3/4. And the last one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eighths. Okay? And now we have to find the two that have the same fraction. Okay? So we know that I'm going to do it like this. Let's see if this helps us come to the right answer. Just because there are two different fractions that we have to compare, it might be quicker to just kind of see if we can do a process of elimination. That means eliminate problems that we know for certain aren't right. So 3/8 and 6/8 are not going to be the same. Let's see if we have an answer with Q and S in it. We don't, so that's not helpful. We know that 2/4 and 3/4 aren't the same. Do we have one that has P and R together? No, so they're not making it easy at all. So next, we're going to start with A, P and Q. P and Q, we got to see if they're the same. So if you want to reduce the fraction, let's see where we can do this. If you reduce this fraction here, it can go down to 1/2 here. 3/8. The 3 cannot really be reduced, so I'm going to assume that that can't be one of the answers. So P and Q can't be right. Because just think, the factor for 3 is 3 times 1. That's the only factor we have. There's not a factor of 3 that will go into 8. Okay? So there's no way we can make that smaller. So we know that P and Q are not going to be the same at all. Let's look at where else do we have Q? We have Q and R. And again, we have the 3 with 3 times 1. And we have factors for 4. But here's the thing again. Let's do it like this. Because this one doesn't have any similar. 8 times 1. This one doesn't have anything similar. This more than likely is not going to be an answer because we can't reduce this one anymore. They're just not the same. So Q and R can't be the same. And look, C is Q and R. Okay? So we're getting somewhere. We know that what we have left is P and S and R and S. So S is in both of them. So let's start with S. Let's see, 6/8. Can we reduce 6/8? We can. This is how we're going to do it. Let's put the factors of 6 over here. We have one that's the same. So we would end up doing 2. We divide each one by 2, which will give 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. And guess what? 3/4 is what R is. And we came up with a reduced fraction for S that is the same. So R and S, we're going to go with that one. And we're going to cross out P because we can't reduce it. P because P does not match S anyway. Now, you didn't have to do that, but that was me just making sure. But you could definitely look at P and S and see that they're not the same, okay? So that is the answer for question 5. I hope that that wasn't too confusing for you. If it was, I would say try doing that one on your own again. And if you want to go the long route, that is definitely up to you. If you feel like that's the way you should do it, you should go through and reduce everything before looking at the answers. That is a part of the strategies if that's what you want to do. Or you can do like I did and kind of use the answers to help you come to the right conclusion, okay? Now let's go to number 6. If you would go ahead and read that. You can pause your screen. Now let's read it together. Maria is making a snack mix. For the recipe, she needs 2/4 cup of peanuts, 1/4 cup raisins, and 2/4 cup chocolate chips. Okay, so Maria will double. She's going to double the recipe. What is the total amount? They want to know the total amount of peanuts, raisins, and chocolate chips she will need. So we have to make sure we understand what they're telling us and what question they want us to answer. So they're telling us everything that's in the recipe. And they're saying that she needs to make twice as much. She needs to double it. And they want to know how much in total all of the ingredients that she's going to need. So what will we need to do? We're going to go ahead and solve it ourselves before looking at the answers. Okay? So here we go. So we're going to add everything together. We're going to take 2/4 cups of raisins plus 1/4 cup raisins. Now we're going to add in 2/4 cups of chocolate chips. And we're going to add those together. So we're going to keep the same denominator for now. And we're going to add 2 plus 1, which is 3. 3 plus 2, which is 5. Okay? That's how much ingredients you're going to need for the recipe. But Maria has to double it. So now we're going to come down here and take our answer. And we're going to double it. Okay? Keeping the same denominator, the bottom number. And we're going to add the numerators together. 5 plus 5 is 10. Now, we have a improper fraction. I don't see any mixed numbers over here. So we're going to go ahead and look at the answers and see if the answers have what we came up with. So let's look. A is 5/12. That's not what we came up with. So we're going to just mark it out. B is 10/8. That's not what we came up with. So we're going to mark it out. C is 9/4. Not quite what we came up with. And D is 10/4. That's what we came up with. So our answer is 10/4, or 10/4 cups. Now, if when you're doing this, you don't see your answer that you came up with, make sure you go back and check your work. Or go back to the problem and make sure you're answering the correct question. And make sure you got all of the information correct, okay? So I hope that was really helpful. So this gives you an idea of the type of problems that you should be looking for. And you can talk to your teacher for more practice problems. And you just keep practicing. Make sure you have your strategies with you. And you should do fine. If you need any help, you have your teachers at school. You have your RAP family here to help you. And you have everything that you need, okay? So I hope you enjoyed that. And like I always say, please make sure that you exercise your mind as well as your body. And I will talk to you soon.